book, movie, sci-fi, and action thrill. Reviewing new TV shows, we keep it real, real. Reminiscing the attitude era, wrestling at its peak. Nostalgia from the 80s and 90s, memories we seek. Pineapples for our rings, a unique touch. Geek culture in our blood, we love it so much. Geek Blue forever, we love it so much. Geek Blue, where we talk about it all, from superheroes to wrestlers. We stand tall, Ray and Kevin, the dynamic duo in sight. Geek Blue, shining bright, shining bright. Did you hear about Pluto? Let's messed up right. Geek Blue, taking you on a nostalgia flight. From movies to TV, we cover it all. Join us every week, we'll have a ball. Shuffle.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, not much, man. You?
Not much going on. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. We are less than 2 weeks away from the movie of the summer. And we'll get into all that in a minute.
Yes, Jurassic World.
That comes out next week. No, not Jurassic World.
Still within 2 weeks.
No, not Jurassic World. I have limited hope for that movie just because of the past. Yeah. What we watched this week, I don't know if you had any chance to watch Ironheart yet.
No.
Getting mixed reviews. However, I really liked it. This is from Ryan Coogler. He produced it. Spinoff of Black Panther, of course. If you remember, Riri Williams debuted in that as Ironheart. This MIT student who became this really smart kid who created armor just like Iron Man. Had the backing of the college instead of Iron Man being a billionaire. She had the backing of the college tuition and grants and made it herself. Continuation of that story, this time bringing the whole story to Chicago. I love the soundtrack to this. A lot of soul and R&B reminiscent of Kanye West without actually using his samples in music because, well, it's Disney and, well, he's not really person non grata
He's
right
a
now.
Nazi. All right.
Yes. But yeah, the debut of the villain of this is the Hood, played by Anthony Ramos. He was in Hamilton. He was in Twisters. He's been in a whole bunch of stuff. Alden Ehrenreich. The only thing I really want to mention from this show is he is a connection to the original Iron Man. He is the son of Obadiah Stane, Ironmonger. He is a little mousy guy who is doing all this secret stuff in Chicago, having secret dealings, and Riri needs some supplies to make her armor better, and she finds him on the dark web, and they have a meeting. Really cool. I actually like this show, and we're definitely getting Mephisto because there's been devil mentions throughout the whole entire series, and even Anthony Ramos and Dominique, who plays Riri, has said that there's a really big actor in a character that is debuting next week that fans have been wanting to see for years. So it's Mephisto for sure, and it's going to go right up to pretty much what the Hood debuted in the comics. Like he got his powers from magic, from the devil, making a deal with the devil, and it's pretty much on par with that. So, great. And the last 3 episodes come out next Tuesday night, so we'll talk about that then. Next episode, The Bear, season 4. I have not watched all of it. I've watched 4 episodes, I believe.
I've watched the same.
Yep. It's very good. We are getting a continuation, of course, of the last season, and they are at the end of their road. They are running out of money, and they have a timer on the wall of their restaurant. And when the timer runs out, the restaurant will be done because they will not have any more funds to support it. The uncle, played by Oliver Platt, pretty much shut them down at the end of the very first episode. So, looking forward to seeing where this show will talk about the rest of the season next week.
Yes.
when we finish that. But so far so good. I mean, the Bear, if you've not seen it, it's on Hulu. If you have Disney Plus or Hulu, you can watch it on Disney Plus as well. That's where I watch it. So it's all episodes are on there now. It's 4 seasons, so it's pretty good. Lots of tension, lots of great episodes, lots of great moments, lots of great music, and visually stunning show.
Mm-hmm.
Directed well. So this week we're talking about a comic book, one that you've been, well, number one, we've been pushing it off to the very, very end of our Superman talk. Known to be, came out in 1996, known to be one of the best graphic novels, full form stories told in comic book. Before this, there weren't too many. There were a lot of like The Watchmen, and there was talked about it last week, Dark Knight Returns. But we're going to talk about Kingdom Come. Art done by Alex Ross, written by Mark Waid, who did a whole bunch of other stuff in the 90s. Still doing stuff now.
Yep.
Most notably known for the 90s. Alex Ross still around, still doing a whole bunch of realistic art reminiscent of Norman Rockwell. He takes that into the whole superhero comic world. We talked about him months and months ago with the Marvels, on the Marvel side, right around the same time he did Kingdom Come, telling the story of a Elseworld. I didn't realize it was an Elseworld story. It's right on the top right. First issue, 4 issues. First issue, we see the Spectre on the front, big huge part of this story, and we see a Superman, all gray bearded, grizzled, still looks like Superman, but he's working on what looks to be Smallville. However, it's not. It's a hologram on the Solitude, because the world, actually the whole state of Kansas has been destroyed.
Yes.
And it was about 10 years before.
It's 10 years. Yep.
So that's where we begin the story. And the heroes, I think Wonder Woman comes in here, asks him to come back, get out of retirement. The world needs you. There's weird shit going on, including Batman running the city of Gotham with robots, which I thought was damn cool. So we're not going to get into all particulars, but I do have some cool art I want to talk about. That's Superman returning and getting some bad guys, and the chest piece on his suit is black. When he comes back, he changes it. In this story, Lois is killed. And if that's reminiscent of any other stories we've heard that we're going to be talking about today,
didn't the Joker kill her?
Yeah, not in this story.
Okay.
But I think that has happened in the past. The Injustice games did that. Remember? But not in this story. It's not mentioned. I think it's the one guy. I think I may have a picture of him. But this is issue 2. The guy in the middle of the comic cover is kind of this preacher that the Spectre comes and haunts and shows him what's going on in a spectral form. So they're kind of out of the way and nobody can see them. But that is Superman reuniting with the Justice League, or what's left of them. Whole new different costumes for some of them, including Green Lantern. The Flash is, for some reason, completely like he's always moving. He's not stopping. So I don't know what's going on there. They don't explain it in the comic book. But and I thought that line in that comic on right there, of course I can't see it from here, but hold on, I have it here. I didn't realize. We will make things right again. Superman is taking flight in the world, and because the world is so fucked up, he's coming in and saying, "Let's make the world right again." Sounds very familiar to a political stance right now. And that is Batman with an Ecto suit. Now I know that shows up in Crisis of Infinite Earths. There's a continuation of this whole entire story in that Arrowverse show. And I believe, wasn't it the animated series Batman Kevin Conroy who played him in the So I cannot wait to see that. We'll talk about that in a few weeks. But we also see Selena Kyle and the Riddler in older age, and we see an older aged Arrow, Green Arrow, Oliver Queen. So I thought that was really cool. We're seeing a 10-year older. Some of these look a lot more older than 10 years, but like the Riddler and Catwoman. But issue 3, we see Shazam right on the front cover, plays a big part in the second part of this. Batman pretends that he's going to join this group of villains led by Lex Luthor. And he finds out that Shazam doesn't have his or access to his powers. So he looks like Billy Batson because Billy Batson's all grown up. So Shazam is kind of all big and tough, and they've kind of merged themselves. So he looks like his older self. He looks like the Shazam version of himself, but he doesn't have the powers, so he hasn't said Shazam yet. Spoiler, it happens, but Batman punches him right in the face. Then we see Superman asking for Batman's help because he realizes there's a lot of shit going on. And Shazam comes in at the very final battle and takes out Superman, stands over and gets his superpowers back. And then issue 4, great cover there.
Mhm.
And there is a huge knockdown, drag out with all the villains of this prison. Shazam and Superman leading the front right there. We see the Infantry coming in with Batman in this brand new armor and a whole bunch of other superheroes. I think there's a steel version of Steel. Instead of taking Superman's mantle, he takes Batman's mantle in the background there. Yeah, some crazy shit happens. Wonder Woman and Batman go up in space. And an explosion happens, a nuclear bomb, and destroys everybody except for Superman right in the middle, and a few other superheroes were survived. But Superman is pissed at the U.S. government, goes to the UN, and starts tearing it down from the ceiling. And he is stopped by the Spectre and the old guy who begs him to let me speak to him, and he talks him down. And Superman is talked down by the old guy who is a preacher, and he ends up saving everybody in the UN. And Superman realizes that humanity is worth more than that. Kind of don't stoop to their level, the moral of the story. And Batman takes off his helmet, blah, blah, blah. I like this cool piece of art here on the top left where Lex Luthor is a prisoner in a hospital. And he's mocking him, saying Shazam because of the whole Shazam thing that happened earlier. And Wonder Woman gives Superman a pair of glasses the first time you see him with the iconic Clark Kent look. And then they go to this restaurant that looks like Planet Hollywood, but for superheroes. And not to get into too much, but Wonder Woman is having Superman's child and asks Batman to be the godfather. And in full detective mode, Batman figures it out without them even having to tell him, which is really cool. But yeah, I'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, good comic book. I liked it. I like his art a lot. I said that before.
Alex Ross is good.
I like the realistic Norman Rockwell type art. So, but yeah, it's a little bit of a spoiler a second ago, but I did watch a movie.
Mm-hmm.
This is the year of Superman. This is one of the movies I've been holding back on for a while because I've been wanting to see it for a while. But Brightburn, not really Superman. However, how this movie got made without a lawsuit, I am dumbfounded.
I can't figure that out. Yeah.
All the same powers of Superman, same origin story, different name, different place. Brightburn is the name of the city. But how this movie got made without a lawsuit from Warner Brothers, I don't know if he had a deal. Background deal with Warner Brothers to keep the lawyers out of it, but this is produced by James Gunn right after I think the Suicide Squad hadn't come out yet. This
was way before then. This came out in way 2016. This might have been before.
2019.
2019. Okay.
His brother and his cousin wrote it.
Yeah.
And it's all about this. What would happen if Superman came to Earth and instead of being the superhero that we know him to be, without actually calling him Superman, without being the superhero that we know him to be, he becomes this evil little child and goes on a rampage, kills everyone, including his parents, spoiler, and goes nuts. There was supposed to be a sequel to this. James Gunn said there's some legal problems and hurdles that they could never get away from. I'm guessing it's the aforementioned DC hurdle that they're talking about. But yeah, very good. A lot of horror elements. Some stuff in this I've never seen before. There's a part where a piece of glass goes into a woman's eye and she tries to take it out. That was gruesome. But yeah, very good movie. And if you ever want to see a sadistic Superman, this is definitely where you need to go. David Tennant, who was Roy in The Office, plays his father. Elizabeth Banks played his mother. lot of the known James Gunn collaborators are on this too. His wife Jennifer Holland plays a teacher. Steve Agee plays a friend of the father, the Jonathan Kent character. But yeah, good movie. You want to see it? It's out. It's on iTunes. It's on iTunes, and he's probably streaming somewhere. I'm not really sure. I bought it a while ago. So here we are, 2 weeks away. We have two big things we need to talk about, and we're going to start this week off talking about this that was revealed in the summer of 2013 by Zack Snyder at San Diego Comic-Con. All he mentioned was the Man of Steel 2 sequel was going to include Batman. For the very first time, they're going to have a movie together.
Mm-hmm.
And it was going to be take inspiration from The Dark Knight Returns. And he debuted this logo of the bat symbol behind the Man of Steel symbol of the Hope sign. Superman's going to be going toe-to-toe with Batman. Fast forward a year. Actually, within this next year, the name of the movie came out, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. We'll get into that in a minute and where the name comes from. And also, about a year later, they revealed the slate of what's going to happen.
Yep, they certainly did.
The whole entire slate for the next 7 years. Starting off with Batman v Superman, Suicide Squad would come out later that summer. The next year, Wonder Woman, Justice League Part 1. 2018, we were going to get The Flash and Aquaman.
Yes.
2019, we were going to get Shazam and Justice League Part 2. That's where the rails kind of went off.
That second Justice League movie, man, I got to tell you, that was a fantastic film.
In 2020.
Well, I mean, I think Cyborg might top it. Cyborg was a tremendous film that Ray Fisher did a fantastic job.
What a great actor.
Oh, yeah.
No drama there whatsoever.
No, none whatsoever.
Green Lantern Corps, love that movie too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, none of these, well, half of these happened, half of them didn't. We'll get into that this week and next week. But Batman v Superman did happen. And that's the logo for it, the official logo. It came out in 2016 and started this whole shared universe that Man of Steel kind of started, but this ripped it wide open. The idea of a team-up started way back in 2001 with a movie titled Batman vs. Superman. The studio wanted Johnny Depp as Batman and Josh Hartnett as Superman at the time for a 2003 start. Plans were put on hold because the director of that movie ended up going and making the movie Troy. And then the studio's direction eventually morphed into what would become Superman Returns, we talked about a couple weeks ago. Christopher Nolan returns as executive producer. At one point, Snyder and Nolan considered having Man of Steel share continuity with his Dark Knight trilogy, but decided against it because of Joseph Gordon-Levitt taking on the role of Batman. There wouldn't be a Bruce Wayne character, so they just decided to do their own version of Batman. That not complicate things. Well,
yes.
See where that got. The original idea by Snyder was to have Joker and the Riddler appear in the film. Snyder ultimately decided to cut that from the final script. He almost cast Adam Driver as Dick Grayson, Nightwing, and Carla Gugino as Catwoman. She's been in The Watchmen and a whole bunch of stuff. She works with Snyder a lot. Snyder explained that the V in the title instead of the versus was a way to keep it from being a straight versus movie, even the most subtle way of doing that. Okay. Potential titles that were initially toyed with: Justice League Foundation, Justice League Rising, and Son of Sun and Night of Night. If we had gotten that last title, Zack Snyder, the internet would have exploded.
Yeah.
Snyder wanted a more grizzled, seasoned, older Batman, Bruce Wayne, to face his version of Superman, so he hired Ben Affleck, who, gotta tell you, I do like him in this role. A lot of people have mixed feelings.
He's in a tough position because to me, he's the best Batman in the worst movies. I think he's fantastic as Bruce Wayne, and he's fantastic as Batman. He just happens to be in movies that are so divisive that it's tough.
Nolan was involved in the casting. He was the first actor that Snyder approached for the part. Took it. Other actors that were considered: Ryan Gosling, Joe Manganiello, Richard Armitage, Max Martini. I don't know who that is. Matthew Good, who's worked with Snyder as well in the past. Jason Momoa auditioned for Batman as well. We'll get into him in a minute. 2014 of May, the Batman suit and the Batmobile debuted. We got some black and white pictures of those, if you remember. And we got a picture of them standing together. I think they came out later on, but I thought that was always a cool picture somewhere in a warehouse somewhere. And the other thing I wanted to mention, I wrote it in the notes, I didn't want to forget, but in this movie, this version of Batman, instead of making his voice sound different, he used a voice modulator, which I thought was a great touch.
I like
because
that
every single Batman before that was everybody used to use just their deeper voice.
This is coming off of the Christian Bale stuff where a lot of people had an issue with him changing his voice, and Nolan did a lot of that in post production too. Batman Begins, he's fine, but then once you get into the Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rising, it's pretty bad.
All the cast of Man of Steel come back, but they add a whole bunch of other people. Jeremy Irons was hired to play Alfred.
He's a great Alfred.
Maybe one of my favorites. Top 2 or 3
on the Batman side of this movie is fantastic. Honestly, as a Batman fan,
yeah, for sure. And playing Diana Prince, Gal Gadot, who had been in other.
She was basically the eye candy for Fast and the Furious, is what she was.
Yeah,
for two Fast and the Furious movies.
She ended up playing Wonder Woman. And there are other people that were considered for this role. Olga, I don't even know how to say her last name, but she played Taskmaster recently in the MCU. She was rumored. Jamie Alexander was Lady Sif in Thor. And Elodie Young, who played Elektra in Daredevil, all considered for that role eventually, but it went to Gale. She had been rumored for that role for a while, if I remember correctly. But she did get it for this movie. And we see a new picture of Superman. I thought that promo shot was always cool. It's the first picture we saw of him with a brand new, more colorful suit than the first movie. And joining the cast of Superman's most known arch enemy, Lex Luthor, Jesse Eisenberg? Question mark?
I mean, on the surface level, it's a great casting because he's a fantastic actor. But something got lost in translation during his performance.
Something definitely got lost in the performance. But yeah, we'll get into that. Other casting notes. We got a character from the comic books, KG Beast, played by Callan McVeigh. You've probably seen him in a whole bunch of stuff.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, he was kind of the enforcer for Lex in this Russian guy. KGB is a character who's been in the comics forever. I think since the 70s. But yeah, Patrick Wilson played the voice of the President of the United States on a phone call at the end of the movie. By the way, we're reviewing the Ultimate version.
Yes.
I caught a lot of the differences. I have some listed on the end of this, but I'm not sure what is added and what was not because this was added.
I know like most of it. Yeah.
There's like another hour of this movie added, another 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
31 minutes, yes.
Scott McNairy. That's him. He is the amputee ex-employee of Wayne Enterprises. At the beginning of this movie,
is it Scott or is it Scoot?
Scoot, yeah, sorry.
Yes, okay.
And the original idea was he was going to be playing Metallo.
Yes.
He even had the people drawing up the pictures in the beginning of the movie. He even had that done too. He was gonna take over that character, but that was all scrapped, and he ended up becoming this employee of Wayne Enterprises. About 2015, we started seeing posters come out for this movie. Teaser posters of Batman v Superman. What else we got here? We got the official poster that came out. Some character posters that came out of the main characters of the movie, and unannounced cameos of Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Laura Cohen from, of course, most notably working together in Walking Dead, as Thomas and Martha Wayne in that scene of Batman when he was a kid and they get murdered. Of course, I thought there was a really cool scene of course, the Summer Superman logo is covering it, but the gun with the pearls was a very, very cool touch that Center did. I think it came right out of the comics. But what this movie tackled, we talk about it all the time, is the consequences and accountability of citywide destruction. Going back to that, the beginning of this movie, Batman, played by Ben Affleck, Bruce Wayne, is driving into Metropolis during the end of Man of Steel, and is being destroyed. And he's witnessing all this destruction happening from this being from outer space, Superman, new to the world, looking at him with devilish eyes like, this motherfucker, how can he destroy my building, my Wayne Enterprises conglomerate in Metropolis, whatever the fuck it is. But yeah, he has a vengeful vendetta against him from that point forward, and that's where the movie takes off. We also get our version of what we're going to get in the Zack Snyder version of Jimmy Olsen.
This is precisely why I think a lot of people had issues with Zack. Is he doesn't give a fuck about normal human beings, and he doesn't give a fuck about side characters like Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's our version of Jimmy Olsen, who dies within 20 seconds of the film.
And he was cut out of the theatrical version completely. They don't say his name.
Yeah, this is the ultimate cut. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the biggest villain of this movie is Kryptonite. Was not mentioned in the first movie. Was mentioned in this one. Leftover fragments from Zod's failed terraforming world engine from Man of Steel. And that's basically how they explain it. And Lex Luthor tries to find this gigantic piece, and he does. Because he knows it's probably going to be some sort of a deterrent for Superman, which everybody knows that. From the first movie, there's a statue in Superman's likeness in the middle of Metropolis, and a memorial for all the people who died in the big citywide ending of that movie. And the amputee guy, goes up on top of it and writes in spray paint, "False God." And that becomes a whole media spectacle. We see a picture of Bruce Wayne. I always love this picture of Bruce Wayne walking through his Batcave and sees a picture of the Robin outfit with "ha ha ha, joke's on you, Batman" written in spray paint on it, notably probably from the Joker. I always love that. And Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent meet in a gala. They were invited there by Lex Luthor. And we see a whole montage of Superman saving the world. I always love this scene of Superman coming out of a flying building. All these people thanking him for doing it.
Except he looks angry the entire time. Why is he mad?
He does.
People? Also, these people on the
strained.
roof, what were they like? Get to the roof, but grab the fucking can of paint?
Yes.
Is that what was going on in their mind? Okay, just checking.
Yes. Leave everything. Leave the computers. Leave everything.
Fuck the dog.
Grab the spray paint. Right. But yeah, there's a cool montage of him saving the day in a whole bunch of different ways. And this line I thought was cool, and didn't really catch it till today, but Superman Clark tells Perry White, "When the planet was founded, it stood for something, Perry." And Perry said, "And so could you if it was 1938, but it's not." 1938, the debut of Superman. I wanted to mention that. And we get probably the most notable part of this whole entire thing, and what everything kind of rides on this one scene, what the future of this was going to be, was the nightmare scene.
Yes.
And in the background, you see the Omega symbol, which is the symbol of Darkseid, which we knew was going to be a huge part of this. Because of this movie, we knew he was going to play a big part in wherever this movie was going to go.
When Warner Brothers asked Zack to cut this down, I don't know if you have this in the notes, these are the scenes they want to cut down, but they were also the only scenes Zack filmed in IMAX, so they wouldn't have been able to put the movie in IMAX. Right. So they kind of shot themselves in the foot with that. Yeah.
I did notice that. And this whole entire scene where he's kidnapped by parademons, and people that are working for Superman and Darkseid, and then evil Superman, who's pissed off because Lois died. Wow, we just talked about that from Kingdom Come, but he's pissed off because Lois was killed. Captures Batman, takes off his mask, and rips his heart out pretty much. This continues in what we're going to talk about next week with Justice League. There's a scene that continues this whole thing. We'll get into that next week, but I always like that scene. This scene immediately picks up with this scene on the top there of The Flash. Very first time we see Ezra Miller as Barry Allen, The Flash. And this opens up the Snyderverse. Very first time we see him warning Bruce, like, be careful. There's something going on with this Clark Kent Superman character. Watch out. I think he mentioned something about it's always her. It has to do with her. It's all about her or something. Not really sure if he's talking about Lois.
I think so. Martha. Her death that they don't really talk about, until the next movie,
But this these new characters from Justice League we're going to talk about, New 52 inspired. New 52 was a big comic book thing at the time when they were reinventing the character. Wonder Woman's demigodness, daughter of Zeus heritage. Cyborg's creation from mother boxes was from that in this movie. Diana Prince, speaking of her as Wonder Woman, you see a flashback, which was really cool, of her from 1917, I think, 1919. Yeah. I can't remember when it was, but see a black and white photo. We see the very first picture of Steve Trevor, Chris Pine, who's going to continue next year. Maybe actually, was it later this year that Wonder Woman came out? I can't remember the time.
It was the next year. It was 2017.
Yeah. But yeah, we do see them for the first time. And we see debuting characters from other Justice League members. Jason Momoa as Aquaman. And Ray Fisher as Cyborg, being created with his father in the background there by the Mother Box, which I mentioned a minute ago. Which is this weird off-world device. There's 3 of them. And for some reason, they have one of them, and it sucks onto this half body of Cyborg and creates this cyborg skeleton. So the world hates Superman. Well, some of the world. And they want answers for all the destruction and everything going on with him. So they bring him and invite him to a courthouse, and the amputee guy has a bomb strapped to his chair, and it goes off and destroys everybody in the courthouse except for Superman. I always thought that visual was heartbreaking, especially with Superman looking over as everybody is burning. He's the only one surviving in the middle of the courthouse. Very sad, but cool, unfortunately. And we finally get to the battle of the century. Right out of the comic books, this armored suit that Batman wears, right out of the Dark Knight Returns from Frank Miller from 1986. And they have this big, huge knockdown, drag-out fight. Superman flies in, tries to tell him, stop, I need your help, because Lex Luthor's trying to pin us together, so we fight. And they end up having a knockdown, drag-out. By the way, Batman in this Ultimate version steals kryptonite. You actually see him stealing it. In the theatrical version, we just think he just gets it somehow.
Right.
I don't know how he gets it. That's what I loved about the Ultimate version. It explains a lot more, and you're not lost.
Yeah, the movie makes sense. Crazy.
Yes, the movie makes a lot of sense. Wow, a movie making sense. Who would have known? But Batman makes a whole bunch of weapons from this kryptonite, including a kryptonite bomb, who makes Superman weak. He makes a spear that has kryptonite on the end of it, and that's pretty much what the whole entire movie is leading up to, is weakening Superman so we can attack him. And that's exactly what happened. And then it culminates in this. The most worst divisive part of this movie, when I was in the theater, I actually gasped out loud and said, what? Superman is being hurt, asking him, please save Martha. Batman, why did you say that name? Save Martha. And then Lois Lane comes from out of nowhere. It's his mother's name. And then Batman lets off and stops choking him, gets rid of the kryptonite. What? Didn't really think about it till this movie that they both had the same name, Martha.
I didn't either. Yeah, this whole thing is just. So, like, we understand what Zach was going for. Like, people say you don't like it because you don't understand it. Or, sorry, the cult says you don't like it because you don't understand it. No, it's pretty fucking easy to understand. But it's just so... The way Ben Affleck delivers his line and the way the whole scene plays out is so cheesy and campy. And, like, 2 seconds earlier, he's trying to kill him. And then he's like, we're boys now.
We're boys. Exactly. Did we just become best friends? Exactly. That's what it was. Came out of nowhere. But the other thing that this film takes inspiration from, which it should never have happened, but we're talking about 2 of the most popular Batman stories and Superman stories. Batman, The Dark Knight Returns from 1986, and in 1992, The Death of Superman. Probably the most popular Superman story. They debuted Doomsday in this, in the whole Death of Superman story. And Doomsday is created from the corpse of Zod.
And it's like,
what the fuck?
How did you know that was gonna, what? Like, there's no science, there's no explanation to back any of this up at all.
No.
They're just like, just go with it.
In the Ultimate version, it kind of seems like it's ancient tech that created him from Krypton.
Yep.
But yeah, there's no real why is this happening?
Why is
is
Lex like,
Luthor?
we should try
Yeah.
this? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and putting his blood into the Kryptonian
Yes.
vat or whatever it is weird. But we do see Doomsday going face to face with Superman in this. They end up going into space. A nuclear rocket goes into space, knocks them both out. Doomsday comes flying back to Earth. He takes all of this nuclear power and becomes even more monstrous. Superman takes all the power and gets this huge solar resurgence because the nuclear weapon weakened him. It's a cool scene, but it was weird. But yeah, as you can see, Doomsday gets all these spikes from the comic book. Every time he's hit, he's getting all these spikes put on him, and they have another face down, knockdown, drag out. The only thing that can defeat Doomsday is bringing together the Trinity: Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. And I like that. This is probably my favorite shot from the whole entire movie. Is the one at the bottom of Superman and Doomsday going face to face with the heat vision. But yeah, then we get into some crazy territory. They have to defeat Doomsday.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder Woman lassos him with the lasso of truth. Superman's flying with kryptonite.
Mm-hmm.
Seems weird. Seems impossible.
Mm-hmm.
And stabs him as Doomsday stabs him with his spike through the heart, killing Superman just like the comic books, killing them both actually. And Lois Lane's laying over his dead body, and Batman and Wonder Woman are looking at him like, what did we do? How did we let him die? But they have a funeral right out of the comic books. Very cool looking scene of Superman. They have a funeral in Metropolis, give him a huge memorial, huge, nice looking casket, but that's not where his body is. His body's in Smallville. They have an actually small funeral for Clark Kent where his body actually is, and they bury him in Smallville. Wonder Woman and Bruce Wayne are there talking about what we got to do. We got to get all these metahumans we found. We got to get them together. We got to save the world. There's darkness coming.
The world knows Clark Kent Superman now, right?
I don't think they ever really do. The movie doesn't explain it, but they don't think
they just
anybody knows.
Disappear. I mean, we'll probably talk about it more next week with Justice League. But they just so happen to disappear on the same. Like they just assume he was part of the. Probably just part of the. But like they make it a point to say in this movie because of all the backlash that they got in the first movie about Metropolis being destroyed. That there's no civilians anywhere near. Don't worry, guys. All the civilians are not near this fight scene at the end of the movie. Everyone's clear. So
it's on an island somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know
off of Metropolis.
What the fuck? Let's just
kill.
I felt nothing for the death of Superman, which is an issue.
This soon, way too soon.
Like, I get that you want to do that angle, but that should have been like the fourth movie, maybe right before the last Justice League or something, or somewhere else in the timeline. Because what the fuck?
Yeah, the second movie of the series. If it was Justice League, the first Justice League movie, even that would have been too soon. But at least it would have made sense a few movies in to do something like that. But yeah, this is a funeral. Batman goes confronts Lex Luthor at the end. Lex at this has a vision. We'll talk about that in a minute because we're going to compare the ultimate versions. But in the very last scene of this, we see the real coffin in Smallville being dropped into the hole in the ground, and they put dirt on top of it. And just like the scene in the Man of Steel where Superman flies, you see the gravity flying around his hand. The sand, the dirt starts flying up, and then the credits roll, meaning that Superman is alive in that coffin, I guess.
I guess.
We're going to see that next week when we talk about Justice League. But this is the scene we're going to talk about in a minute. But just to let you look at it, well, I'll give you some ultimate version. Number one, you mentioned 31 minutes longer, R-rated. They did get an F word, fuck, in there. Give Superman more character development and screen time, especially investigating Batman's vigilantism in Gotham. Lois also receives more character development and screen time, exploring Wallace, the guy who has the amputated legs, exploring his motives and the Senate bombing, and linking it to Lex Luthor. Also find out more about Lex Luthor's plans. They're expanded upon, showing how he manipulated events to pit Batman against Superman. Reveals that he paid a woman to testify falsely about Superman at the Senate. You see an extended nightmare sequence, like you mentioned. Scenes of Batman stealing the kryptonite from Luthor. I thought that was cool. I'm glad they added it to the ultimate version, but it should have been in the original version.
Yep.
It's a huge plot of the movie that needed to be explained. It was in the Ultimate, but never in theater. Following Superman's death, you can see extended scenes of Metropolis and Smallville, showing the aftermath, the impact of everybody, and of him dying. But the biggest reveal at the very end is Lexon is in Zod's spaceship, where he created Doomsday, and he's communicating with a creature off planet who's holding 3 mother boxes, and that is Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf is a follower of Darkseid, one of his probably generals, I guess you would say.
Yeah, he's technically Darkseid's uncle, right?
I don't know the whole.
I think he's Darkseid's uncle.
Okay, but another thing we're gonna talk about next week plays a big part in the Justice League. The Snyder Cut more so, but we'll talk about it. But yeah, that's where we see Steppenwolf for the very first time. Movie had I never did look up why the number was so fluctuated, but the movie had a $250 to $325 million budget.
I think
it's the 75.
I think technically it's 250. I think it's 250.
Maybe that has to do with credits and rebates from.
Maybe, yeah.
I have no idea. Ended up making $422 million globally opening weekend. 166 of that came from North America. So big, huge weekend, but a huge drop off the weekend after and further weekends.
Yeah.
That's what's known about this movie the most, is it's just a huge drop going forward.
I think it's still the biggest drop ever, as far as
the biggest drop ever. Yeah, 81%.
I still think it is. Yeah.
Overall, made $874 million worldwide, 330 million North America. Not too shabby, but you can see there's a lot of problems, and the critics did not like it. Fans were kind of mixed on it too. I was mixed on it a little bit. There's a lot of cool. You can't. There's a thing you can't knock about Zach. You can't knock the visual style.
No.
Everything he does.
He's a visual director.
Stunning. Yes.
Which is why it's hard for me to call him mid, because that's kind of what he excels at, like the visual side of the directing. I think he struggles with working with different actors, and he obviously can't write a script to save his life. And his ideas are a little bit off at times.
This is definitely a prequel to what we're talking about next week, because next week's a whole other topic of the Justice League.
Are you doing Justice also? You're going to watch that pile of trash?
I'm gonna watch them. Yeah, I'm gonna watch them both.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
I'm glad this is kind of the end of the year of Superman talk next week, because there's a lot to this. And why the Zack Snyder version came out 4 years later, that's a whole story in itself. What happens? We're also going to talk about the implosion of the whole entire Snyderverse. And leading up to the movie, the Superman movie, James Gunn is coming out in a couple of weeks. We're going to talk all about that. But yeah, there's a lot of topics there. This is kind of the preamble to all of that. This movie, it's the preamble to the whole entire Snyderverse to begin with. So, we'll get into the Justice League. We'll compare it to the 4-hour slow-mo version of Justice League that came out 4 years later, HBO Max exclusive. If you want to watch these along with us, go ahead. But overall, I didn't mind this movie there. I had a lot of problems with it. Like we mentioned, Man of Steel dying was rushed, especially since we just got to know him.
I've hated this movie for a very long time, but I've been able to let go now that we have an actual DC universe coming. Right. And mainly that's because of the decisions they made for the second movie in a shared universe. It'd be like going from Iron Man to Civil War. It just doesn't make sense, a lot of the stuff, but it is what it is. It's a visually stunning movie. I enjoy it now a lot more in the last couple of years than I did the previous 6 or so. But yeah,
I will say this: I've already started notes for next week. I started them at the beginning of the week because I knew there's a lot of stuff I needed to get down, and I wanted to make sure I got it down before I watched them. But the studio lost a lot of faith after this movie.
Yeah.
They ended up hiring, was it Jeff Johns, to run DC Studios at the time, I think it was called, or DC, I can't remember what it was called.
Whatever it was, yeah.
But, and they wanted to rein in Snyder a little bit before the Justice League movie came out. And there's a whole other problem with that we'll get into next week. And then, there's a mess, and there's just no continuity. They wanted to have continuity, and eventually when Justice League came out, they stopped that. Because they just thought Snyder was a little nuts. So, we'll get into that next week. Until then, and for now, let's get into the news.
Thank God.
And it's not a new segment to the trailer roundup. 3 trailers we're going to talk about this week. Number 1 is the new trailer for Weapons.
This movie looks awesome.
It looks great. Comes out August 8th. Starring most notably Julia Garner, who's going to be playing Silver Surfer, and Thanos himself. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Josh Brolin. Looks good. Horror movie, kids disappearing in the town. Got a brand new trailer for Roofman, starring Channing Tatum, Kirsten Dunst, Peter Dinklage, the Dink, about this guy who is seems like he's a guy who robs things. And he ends up going into and working for a Toys R Us, based off a real true story. Comes out October 10th. And he ends up working at Toys R Us, and it wants to rob Toys R Us. And that's what the whole story and movie's about. Trailer looked good. Looks good. He ended up, the tagline in the film follows a robber who lived in a Toys R Us store, broke into more than 60 McDonald's, then emptied the cash register after herding staff into freezers. So it's based off a true story of that. We'll watch that hopefully when it comes out, probably digitally. And we got a brand new trailer 1 month away for the Fantastic Four First Steps. I'm glad they didn't show Galactus in full form because I was afraid they're going to show too much in this trailer. Showed just enough, expanded on it a little bit. You do see Galactus in the foreground of the poster there, but other than that, just expanded upon scenes from the first trailer. We got the full trailer, so cannot wait for that. Cannot wait for Superman. Cannot wait for July to get here because there's a lot of stuff we're going to be talking about. So. Weekend box office last week. How to Train Your Dragon won the box office with $37 million. 28 years later, debuted at $30 million, not too shabby. And Elio, animated movie, saying it's a failure for Pixar. $21 million, came in third. I guess the worst debut of a Pixar movie ever. So I have no idea. Didn't really get any promotion about it. So, Mobland has been renewed for a season 2. I was excited to hear that because it's a great show. Speaking of Paramount Plus has decided to shed the Showtime brand from the name from their premium tier. It's going to be calling it Paramount Plus Premium going forward. All this confusing Premium Plus. Netflix has like 4 different tiers. It's ridiculous. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about in the news. A lot of stuff we've been speculating on for a while, but breaking news in Bond world this week, Denis is the director of the next James Bond film. Denis Villeneuve, director of Dune Part 2, The Prisoners. Wasn't that the movie we loved?
Yep, I love Prisoners.
Great movie.
Yep.
Amazon did hire him. We mentioned it last week. He's kind of the last name we hoped would be picked, but he was picked. There's a reason for it. We'll get into it in a minute, but his exact quote after the news came out, some of my earliest movie-going memories are connected to 007. I grew up watching James Bond films with my father ever since Dr. No with Sean Connery. I'm a diehard Bond fan. To me, he's sacred territory and intend to honor the tradition and open the path for many new missions to come. This is a massive responsibility, but also incredibly exciting for me and a huge honor. More news about it came out today. Denis will not have final cut of the film, and I think that's where a lot of directors probably did not take this role on when they were asked. I'm surprised Denis agreed to this, but he wants to work for Bond, so he's going to do anything. He also signed on for only one project. If it's successful, that could change. Studio is searching currently for a writer, and James Bond will be cast after the script is turned in. News today came out of what the wish list for Amazon's actors for this movie are. Under 30. Under 30, which means they want to have this franchise go on for a while. Same actor, continuing the role. The 3 names that came out of this, which I only agree with one of them. Tom Holland, do not agree with.
I saw a meme today that was him in a Bond suit, and he said, "I'll have my chalky milk shaken, not stirred."
That's no.
I don't want Tom Holland.
Harris Dickinson, we haven't seen him yet in.
Interesting.
We saw him in the Iron Claw. Great in that. We haven't seen him in the Beatles biopic yet. But Jacob Elordi, interesting choice, but it would be interesting to see that. out of anybody under 30, can you think of anybody else? The other one that's going around, which I think would be fantastic, is Jack O'Connell, which I want to see him in everything.
Yeah.
After Sinners.
He'd be my top choice.
I think so for me too.
But I mean, all those rumors too about Aaron Taylor Johnson could be false.
Too old.
I'm glad they're waiting until the script is finished before they cast, because I hate when they cast something before a script is done, because you don't know what that version of the script is actually going to be. But yeah,
the only reason we don't have Aaron Taylor Johnson in this movie is because it took too long. Too much background stuff going on with Bond. If this had happened 5 years ago, right after Daniel Craig's last movie, I think we would have gotten Aaron Taylor Johnson. But they wanted somebody in the below 30 range to start off as a younger Bond, which I get. They want to start off a franchise young, so the movies come out every 5 years or so, usually. So, Aaron Sorkin, another weird development this week. Aaron Sorkin is developing The Social Network 2 at Sony Pictures, talking about social media and what happened after Facebook became so popular and how it kind of made everybody a zombie. And he's already written the screenplay, set to direct the movie. It's based off this whole Wall Street Journal expletive series that came out called The Facebook Files, talking about, like I mentioned, what Facebook does to a society, pretty much. Not sure, no mention of Jesse Eisenberg returning as Mark Zuckerberg, but he was great in that movie. It's kind of where he became a known name. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that. Also announced this week, a TV show I'm not sure we need, but based off Young Frankenstein, a show called Very Young Frankenstein, a series produced by Mel Brooks. He's 99 now, producing late in life. Going to be done by the team that did What We Do in the Shadows, which is a funny show, so I have a little bit of hope for it. But they're going to have a pilot order kind of nearing that, so we'll have to wait and see. It's going to be on FX. So Billy Joel and So It Goes. We got a brand new poster for that. 2-part documentary comes out July 18th on HBO Max. I think first part comes out then, and the week later the second part. Love Billy Joel, so I cannot wait to see that. This came out today. Brand new poster for Alien Earth. Comes out August 12th. Cannot wait for that on Hulu, FX. Also announced this week, weird Friday the 13th news, but short film in the works from director Mike P. Nelson. I don't know who that is, but a short film released sometime this year to coincide with the 45th anniversary of the franchise. Not sure where it's going to be released. I don't know if it's an online thing, or I don't think it's going to be a theater for short film, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Paul Dano, talk about him all the time. He's in talks to write and direct an untitled comedy for Universal Pictures. The Daniels are set to produce. I think they're the ones that did
Everything Everywhere All at Once. Yep.
I love Paul Dano. One of my favorite movies from him is The Girl Next Door, as far as acting chops, as far as a comedy is concerned. Haven't seen and too many other comedies after that. He went a whole bunch of drama movies after that. But yeah, I do like him a lot, so we'll have to wait and see. Speaking of comedies, Netflix has greenlit a new series from Bert Kreischer called Freebird. Scripted comedy going kind of along the lines of Tired. So they realize we can put these shows out that are very cheap to make, 6 to 8 episodes, and they can bring in big numbers for comedians. Probably bigger than stand-up, because you got more people watching TV shows than you do stand-up comedy. So, yeah, I love Bert, so I cannot wait to see how that series turns out coming to Netflix. All right, we got to talk about the casting for Street Fighter, because this is incredible. Never mind the bottom right that has not been announced yet, but we do have Ken, Ryu, Chun-Li, Vega. We have 50 Cent playing Balrog. I don't know who that is in the game. That was probably more modern time. I remember playing the arcade in the 90s. But Roman Reigns coming in as a character called Akuma. Jason Momoa coming in as Blanca, who is huge. And it was announced that comedian Andrew Schultz coming in as a character called Dan Hibiki. I don't know who that is either. But rumored to play M. Bison, Walter Goggins. Rumored to play Guile, Alan Richardson. If that happens, this will be the #1 movie or whatever year it comes out in my hopes and hypes. So I cannot wait to see hopefully that happen. Alan Ritchson has been connected to this movie for a while, which I did not realize. I guess he's kind of been the one that they wanted to cast, especially after seeing Reacher. That it's a no-brainer. It has to happen. Pay him all the fucking money. Walter Goggins love him too, so let's wait and see. Speaking of Reacher season 4 recast. We just talked about Jay Baruchel last week. They recast him. If you ever see a whole bunch of comedies, just spoke about The Girl Next Door. He was in that. Rodriguez Marquez, I can't remember his first name, but he's going to be taking over the role of Jay Baruchel. But he's been in a whole bunch of other stuff. Very funny guy. Hasn't been around in a while. Hasn't been in too many mainstream things in a while. So excited for that casting too. Speaking of Friday the 13th a minute ago, just started filming the series. And they have Mama's Boy as the title card in filming. So I thought it was cool. Lilo and Stitch 2 in the works at Disney. Got a brand new picture that came out today of Avatar 3. That's the bad guy who took over the body of one of the Na'vi, and that's the kid that ended up
Wolf,
going with him
or whatever his name is.
Wolf. Yeah. Empire came out with a new magazine this week, and the Tron Ares all over the cover. Brand new pictures from that movie as well. Looks great. I mentioned last time we went to the theater that trailer looks stunning on the big screen. So I cannot wait for that. And we got some new swag.
Swag. Stuff we all get.
Come on, son. You know that's right.
We got a Herbie Pop coming out this summer at, I believe, Comic-Con. We got a Mr. Monopoly coming out. We got a whole bunch of new Simpsons ones. We got a new Beetlejuice one coming out. We've got these whole Batman Beyond set, which is kind of cool, with Damian Wayne, right? Is that who plays Batman in that? Yeah. And Peacemaker with Eagle and Vigilante. This set looks awesome. And it's a whole dance sequence from the beginning of a Peacemaker pop figure set. Terminator 2 Judgment Day. I don't know who makes this. Is even written on there. I don't know. Mafix. I don't know who makes this. But John Connor comes with Terminator. John Connor comes with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Edward Furlong as a kid. A whole bunch of accessories. The Guns N' Roses box there and everything. And came out today. Brand new pictures of Ezekiel. I believe this is from the Arkham Knight game. Ezekiel from Batman way back in the 90s when Bane broke his back. Looked really, really cool. I wanted to mention that. Not a lot of cool stuff this week, but got the brand new poster for Superman. Finally got the HD version of that this week. I wanted to mention that. Got a textless picture of Superman and Krypto looking over Earth, which I thought was really, really cool. The new poster this week came out of China. Which looks great too. The posters for this movie have been hitting it out of the park from the very beginning. All of them are definitely wall worthy, display worthy. Lined up in a row would be awesome. James Gunn says he studied All-Star Superman, Superman for All Seasons, the Fleischer cartoons, Donner, and Miyazaki for Superman visuals. He wanted something elegant, no shaky cam, no darkness for darkness' sake. Cough, cough, cough. Man of Steel, Snyderverse. This is a clean cinematic Superman, is what he's saying. So, cannot wait. Got a brand new picture of an official title for Ultraman. Whole different look for Ultraman. Ultraman in the comic books. I don't want to get into too much because the movie's not out yet. Speaking about not coming out yet, there was a screening this week. A lucky screening for a bunch of lucky influencers. A lot of news came out of it, but one of them kind of took me by surprise. We just mentioned last week that Bradley Cooper is going to be playing one of the robots. I do not believe this, but I'm going to bring it up in case it's true. I don't have a picture of it, but Bradley Cooper and Angela Serafin, reportedly going to be portraying Superman's biological parents, Jor-El and Laura, which kind of, I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't believe it. This came out pretty much right when the people started watching the movie. This news came out the same exact time. I think it's fake, but You gotta take everything with a grain of salt right now because the next 2 weeks are going to be horrible for rumors. Screenings are going to happen on the 7th. It's going to be nuts. So, yeah, take that with a grain of salt. Got a brand new picture, behind the scenes look of Guy Gardner and Mr. Terrific behind the scenes of Superman. Cannot wait for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost didn't catch this before we got on today, but Matt Reeves turned in his script for the Batman Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
Posted this picture on social media this afternoon. That should shut up the internet for a little while, hopefully.
Nah, that'll never happen.
Robert Pattinson just mentioned on, I think it was in an interview yesterday, that he just found out what the story about the Batman 2 was, and he's very excited that he finally knows what it's about. So
Good.
It's awesome. So yeah, cannot wait to see what happens here. Even though I didn't like the first one, I'm hoping to see. I love Penguin, so I'm hoping to see a continuation of where that goes. Got some brand new 1960s inspired art for Fantastic Four First Steps magazine art. You got the Thing on a gardening magazine. We got the a kind of Time People magazine with Sue Storm on the front cover. We get a Johnny Storm fan club kind of poster flyer that came out, and we get a science magazine with Reed Richards on the front of it. Love the viral marketing for this movie. Love the 60s style of everything that's going on with this movie. It's kind of a perfect touch for giving homage to where these characters started in 1960s. So very cool. Jurassic World premiered last week, Rebirth, and Mahershala was on the carpet, and everybody was asking him about Blade. The only couple of quotes came out of it was he said, "Call Marvel, let them know I'm ready." I think a lot of people are ready for Blade, but for some reason the movie is still not happening. So who knows if we'll ever get it? But
why don't he needs to be Martian Manhunter? I'm just saying.
Oh, that'd be cool too. Yeah, I like that.
DC just steal him.
Yeah. Another quote: "I'm just taking it a day at a time. I would love for Blade to happen. We'll see. I don't know where Marvel is at right now, so yeah, we'll have to wait and see." In shocking news, John Bernthal set for Spider-Man: Brand New Day as the Punisher. And that's where the show just ends, because it's weird to have Spider-Man being so cartoonish and bringing somebody whose main weapon is a gun, a barrage of guns, mind you, and bullets and flying. Big rumor here is that Mark Ruffalo's in this movie. I don't think it's ever been officially announced in any trades or anything, as the Hulk, a savage Hulk, coming in and wreaking havoc in New York City. This is all based off of comic book stuff. I mean, this is where Punisher debuted in Amazing Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
So if they tackle that, I guess it's okay if he's on the
Except
hunt for
they already
Spider-Man.
kind of tackled that with Daredevil, because they just basically stole that for Daredevil season 2. So
Yeah, you're right. And finally in news, on the same front, officially announced in that same article, Zendaya and Jacob Batalon, who played MJ and Ned in Spider-Man, the whole Spider-Man movies, Homecoming, and everything.
Yeah, no shit. They'll be.
Well.
Yeah, no shit.
But yeah, that's it for news this week. That's it for our show. Next week, jam-packed week. Talk about the finale of Ironheart, Squid Game season 3 series finale. That started today. Gonna try to watch that if I can. Came out in theaters today. F1 and Megan 2.0. I'm not gonna watch those for a while. We're gonna review The Bear, the full series season, and the Year of Superman, Justice League versus the Snyder Cut. We're gonna compare them. Talk about the implosion of the Snyderverse. Shazam, the cameo of Superman. Black Adam, the cameo of Superman. The public firing of Cavill. The whole fumbling of the ball, if you will. We'll talk about The Flash a little bit. We're not going to watch it, but we'll talk about all the cameos. There's Superman cameos in that. And there's a scrapped Cavill cameo in that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads up to the James Gunn hiring and everything that happens leading up to the next week, which we're going to be reviewing Superman. Next week's also the beginning, month of July. We'll probably do a show and tell next week. Next week, Jurassic World Rebirth is in theaters. Next Friday, Head of State, the John Cena and Idris Elba movie. The Sandman season 2 comes out on the 3rd of July, next weekend. Actually, next Wednesday. On the 9th, the South Park premiere Same with It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Season 17 premieres. On the 10th, a documentary we need to watch, Jaws at 50.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about the movie Jaws. On the 11th, Dexter Resurrection. I can't think of anything else coming out that day. Oh, yeah. Superman. We're also going to be in the finale of our year of Superman. We're going to talk about the series of Krypton. Talk about the Arrowverse, Crisis of Infinite Earths. Talk about a little bit about Superman and Lois because I haven't watched it. You have. On the 18th, I know what you did last summer. Sometime in here, I got to watch those first movies I've never seen. There's another part of Sandman comes out on the 24th of Volume 2. San Diego Comic-Con, the end of July. Always great time. 23rd to the 27th. On the 25th, Happy Gilmore 2. Also on that day, Fantastic Four First Steps. And on the 31st is the final finale episode of The Sandman on Netflix. So lots of stuff to talk about next month. Next month is a loaded month for us. And probably going to take a break in August because the Superman stuff has been exhausting. Especially when getting into the Snyder movie.
Yeah, usually the last 2 weeks of August when we take our break, usually. So
yeah. So we will do that.
Fire up for season 5.
Till then, we got a lot of stuff. Season 5, yeah. Wow, we're getting up to our, what is it, fourth year? Yeah,
something like that, 4 or 5.
Something like that, yeah. I don't know. We're lost. But yeah, thanks everybody, and we'll talk to you next week. Peace.
Deuces.
We're the Geek Blurb crew, here to enlighten you. Talking all things geeky, from movies to wrestling to our podcast is the place where you wanna be for all the latest news and nostalgia from the 80s and 90s. We review comic book flicks and sci-fi hits, riding the wave of action movies with all the cool bits. From Iron Man to Star Wars, we cover it all. And when it comes to wrestling, we never drop the ball. Geek Blurb, we're the kings of the nerds. Rating movies and pineapples, our opinions never blur. Join us each week for a geeky chat with the latest scoop and a dose of nostalgia that. So if you're a fan of the comic book craze, or a lover of sci-fi and all its maze, tune in to Geek Blurb. We're here to entertain, bringing you the best in